I think I'm going to go ahead. It's 1 minute after, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. So, can you put up the first slide?
Yeah,
Oh, actually,
I'm
no.
gonna.
You know what? I'm going to share my screen. That's right. Hold on. I'm going to share my
Okay.
screen. And can everybody see Jenny's website, Avida? If you want to chat, thumbs up, thumbs down, that would be helpful. My name's Deneen Dias. I'm with Infinite Ties. We've invited Jenny Glassmoyer today to spotlight her thriving CAS practice. She used to be with a large firm. That's when she and I started working together, and she was building out CAS for the law at that large firm. And then 2 years ago, she decided to go off on her own and focus on her passion, which is not for profits. Jenny, what does AVIDA stand for?
Hamadat is Hebrew for work, worship, and service.
Worship, that's wonderful. And which you see, work, worship, and service is on her website. I just wanted to show her website because I think that, what you've done very nicely is be very specific in who you serve. And I love the pictures that you updated because that's her and her team, accounting solutions for not for profits, showing charts and graphs on the dashboard, showing her technology, showing her team. Who we work with, though, I think is really nice because she says on her website she works for not for profits, but specifically churches and schools. And then I like what you've done here is we understand the unique financial challenges church face from restricted funding accounting to cash flow management. And then with schools, you're saying educational institutions face unique financial demands from managing tuition and fundraising to balancing budgets. And so you're speaking their language. So when they come to their site, they are like, oh, she understands us, which I think is so important. I also like how you break out that you do advisory and consulting, you do assessments and special projects, which I know you price separately for, and then you also spotlight the back office. And then I like your pricing tiers. This is really creative. Knoweth is like where they start, groweth is as they evolve with you, and then showeth is even more like CFO analytical services. So I just wanted to share her website because I think it's really great. And then from here, Jenny, take it away.
Awesome. Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm going to share my screen and hopefully the right slides pop up here. Let's see. All right. Making
Yes,
sure that everyone can see just the slide. So, Deneen, do you want
yes,
to
yes.
hit this
Yeah, this is
slide?
the typical slide that we have in the very beginning. And we want to just, note that CP credits are not available for this training. So you can go to the next slide.
All right. So, welcome, everyone. Thank you, Infinite Ties, for inviting me. Um, I wanted to just share some from my history and from our journey. As Deneen, for those who were on earlier, I've been working and focusing on CAS for about 14 years. Just started Avoda CPA in 2023, so just over 2 years. And so I just wanted to share some real practical information. I was very hungry for um, insight and knowledge and what are other people doing. And a lot of the presentations, while were good, was more on why it's important to do CAS and why it's good for nonprofits, but it never went deeper than that high level. And so I'm hoping that today I can give you some real takeaways, show some screenshots of the technology and stuff that we use, what I've learned, what works for me, what doesn't. And I just want to start off by saying, too, I'm highlighting certain technology. This is a technology stack that we're using. I'm not by any means saying this is the tech stack that you need to use or selling any technology, but I didn't want to keep it high level. I really wanted to give details. So also I'm very open for questions and just kind of to make your time worthwhile and we can all learn from each other, honestly. So thanks for coming.
Yes, and
And
just on that note,
yeah,
they all cannot come off mute, but they can chat questions. So please chat any questions that you have while Jenny's talking. I'll be monitoring the chat,
perfect.
and I'll just ask the questions throughout.
Great, thank you. So I just said not a lot of fluff, and my first slide is why CAS for nonprofits. I'm assuming the audience here already knows this, but I just want to make sure and lay it out there and start with it. So as we know, nonprofits, it's a lot of financial complexity. There's a lot of users of the information. There's funders, there's members, there's project managers, there's ministry leaders, and they all want different information. And so it's really important to be able to slice and dice the information. So transparency and compliance is important. With this transparency, they can make better decisions. It's cost effective many times to bring in outsource, and also to focus on the mission is important. Well, I'll continue on. I don't want to give the whole slide away on the first slide. I could keep talking. So also I want to point out CAS, you see, is CAAS. So anyone who has taken any kind of trainings or workshops from CPA.com, Infinite Ties, we'll see there's CAS, Client Accounting Solutions, and CAAS is Accounting and Advisory. And so I think the advisory part is important, and that's what really sets us apart when we're offering back office and CAS and more on the accounting advisory level. So here, the core CAS services for nonprofits, it kind of gets down into 3 areas. A lot of us just focus on, at least me when I was coming out of an audit mindset, is accounting and financial operations, and we would encompass everything under that. But really, there are segments that we can break out. So the accounting and financial operations, obviously the month-end close, the annual prep, the technology integration and automation. This is key that allows the accounting and financial operations to be successful, as well as the compliance and audit readiness. And so I think it's important to be able to package things in different packages so you're not giving everything away for one purpose. The advisory services layer, to differentiate from just providing financials. So coming from audit, and if those of you might have come from tax, our deliverable of the financial statements for the tax return ends up being the end. We've done our job, here you go, and we're done, other than maybe some planning meetings and stuff. The difference with advisory that I've learned is we really start with the financials. So yes, we have to prepare the financials or work with the team for the financials, but that should be our starting point. And when we go to that mindset, that's when the advisory comes in. Okay, here's the financials. What do we do with the financials? What does this mean? And so that's a key, and I think a differentiator from firms that truly get into the advisory side of things and don't just stop short at the preparation. Also, that would include CFO level strategy for boards and leadership, cash flow management clarity. This is huge. The financials, once we have good, complete financials, then we use that to prepare cash flow analysis. With nonprofits, especially schools, for instance, here in Florida, we have a step up program where the government is providing tuition for private schools. Well, that's paid out quarterly. But for our financials, we're earning it monthly. So there's a disconnect. We can't use just an income statement by month as a basis for our cash flow. We need to transition that. So we have our accrual forecast and then the cash flow. That's more on the advisory layer. Scenario planning for funding shifts. What if we don't get a major funder? What are we going to do? And then policy guidance has started to come up as well. We come in and we kind of just, if we're doing all of the financials, then we know our policies and what we do. However, there's really room to serve our clients and customers by helping them on looking at reserves. How are they allocating things? Do they have a gift acceptance policy? And even helping them write their operation policies and procedures. It's another area of service that's outside of the typical prepare your financial statements. Some of the things that we've learned about what works best is when we start a job, we start with their mission and their purpose. And I think that separates us from a lot of firms, because typically we would come in, we want to structure everything, and we tell them what they need to know. Okay, there's a little bit of that, but it's more from a foundation of what matters to them. Design it for outcomes, not just here are your balances, but how many baptisms did we have? How many people did we bring in off the street? What are their outcomes that they're measuring? And we can connect the financial information to that. And a lot of it is coach, just don't support them. We're really an integrated part of the team. And what really sets us apart, I believe, is that we work with them and we coach them. A lot of it is understanding what are their concerns, what are they worried about, what are their plans for the future, where would they like to go, what's not working right now, what is working. A lot of it is relational, honestly. The majority of it is relational. And then when we're starting with a new customer, we build with the end in mind. So that means that when we're going in and we go through a discovery, I usually ask, what are the reports that you're getting now? What do you like about them? What don't you like about them? Who are the users of the financial statements? And then when you know what the end result is, you can build the system backwards to meet those needs. Some additional lessons from our journey, and I mentioned it before, we are really part of the customer team. This picture is actually one of our clients, and we work together. Yes, we can do all the accounting, but I believe we really shine when we're integrated with the finance team. So some of the larger clients, we focus on churches and schools. Some of the churches are multi-campus. They have a full on-site finance team. We come in and we assist with the gap level knowledge, checks and balances. We'll do certain closing entries. They like having us there because they will run questions, and we're part of that. We even join them on, business development days. Some people that aren't in finance might even believe we're employees of the client because we're just so integrated and we work well together. And what else is nice is we become super valuable because as they take vacations, we come in and back up the team. If someone leaves, we can take on the job and help train the person coming in. So we kind of come in and back off based on what their needs are, making it really personable. And we customize offerings using our tech stack. We'll talk about the tech stack that we use. And that's really important because if you don't really define a tech stack, you're all over the place and it's not very efficient or effective. It's much better to have your team be able to be trained on specific technologies. And so when it's a new client, it's not learning a whole nother system again. And then we really incorporate our philosophy of work, worship, and service, as Deneen showed you on the website, the meaning of Avodah. When I started Avodah, I really wanted to bring everything together. My spiritual life, my beliefs, my work ethics, my heart to serve all together. And I want the company to be based on that same foundation. So it's very personable to all of us. We incorporate that into our team meetings. We have a prayer journal that we will pray for our customers, and we pray for each other. We'll have small groups. So whatever your philosophy is or passion of why you started your firm or why you're working in accounting or why you want to work with nonprofits or what type of nonprofits, really filter that through everything.
Jenny, we have a
And that will come
question.
out in your product. Yes, great.
So Jill has a question. Jill's curious on how you get nonprofits to value and be willing to pay for your services, especially churches with poverty mindset or those with funding issues.
That's a great question. And so yes, with the churches and the mindset, they have like, well, money we spend on finance, that's less money that we're helping someone on the streets or coming in. And really it is a cultural shift. And we, as for churches, we're followers of Jesus, we're reading the Bible. It's sharing like also you're supposed to be good stewards with your finances. it is responsible and it is Christian to be good stewards of your finances. And that means that you need to invest in things to have good numbers, to grow more. And so it's communicating that. And as I get further in, you'll see we have different tiers. So we grow with the customer. The other reason that I started Avoda is I really wanted to be free in how we price things. With a larger firm, I mean, rightfully so, I didn't have the freedom that I have with Avoda. And quite honestly, I mean, I pray about it like, okay, how much, what clients do you want me to serve and how much do I need to charge them? And I get away from that hourly billing. And so I use benchmarks to see if I'm in the right place. And so I will look at, for a church, I will look at their total revenue, their tithe revenue, because that's really their operational funding. Yeah, for churches, those are the two numbers I look at. And if we're the entire finance department or if we're only part of the finance department. And depending on that, it should be between 1.5% to 4%, definitely no more than 5% of that. So one, it wouldn't be great of us to be consultants and give them services, which is 10% of their tithes. That's not responsible for them. And then when they know your heart in it, there's a trust value that's there. That's why I'm like, it's so relational. And so with the churches and how we market it and talk with them and go through discovery, then they'll end up selling it to themselves like, oh, wow, we really do need that. We need this. So there are some that if it's a startup church, honestly, we're not the right solution at that time. A relationship with them, and as they grow, then it makes sense. But there's a lot of firms out there that for a couple $100 will do their accounting and their payroll. And they get how they set it up. It's mass production. That's not our style. It fits for those just starting and needs the very minimum, but then we work best with some of the larger churches with multi-campus.
So it's really good that you know your ideal customer, right? You know the
Yeah,
right size, and you know those startup churches, don't need you quite yet in the advisory work that you're really, the CAS work that you're really focusing on.
correct.
Good.
Correct. Taking it from processes to a platform, it's kind of a layered effect. You have your foundation, which is like the ERP system. So we're looking at the accounting side of things now. With that right ERP system, and then the management of the funds, how money is spent, the budgeting of it, and then moving on to the advisory, which is more of the dashboards output. That makes it very transparent and advisory where it's very fluid and constantly moving and changing, because that's where we are today. Gone are the days where we can give a financial statement and when they're reviewing it, it's already, 15, 30 days historical. And so they're making decisions on things that aren't accurate. So we really try to push towards, if they want financials, they can print them right from the dashboards. And so we're just continually moving. That's what we're striving towards delivering. Now, obviously, we do that, but sometimes they still need that printout one. So we'll still do that for some of the presentations, but a lot of times in the meetings, we'll pull up the live dashboard. So moving into the technology, again, this is a tech stack that works for us. I spent a lot of years researching and making sure that I'm using the best systems. And at one point, I just had to be like, okay, I think I have it. I'm going to stop. Because I could study systems and never do any work until I retire. So I allowed myself to not attend every training on different accounting systems. I'll read through it, but so far, this has not let me, there's nothing that our needs aren't met or our client needs met. So these are the systems that we use. Also, I want to throw out there, if it's a system that you've heard about and you are not using it and you want to use it, My email address will be available. Email me after the fact. Usually if it's new sign-ons, I can get you kind of a discount on implementation or give you some more feedback. But again, this is our tech stack. You come up with your tech stack, but I'm happy to share what I've learned. So the accounting system, we only use QuickBooks Online or Sage Intacct. If we have customers that want something, that are using something outside of that, for us to do the work, that includes a phase that is implementing QuickBooks Online or Sage Intacct. I use two because I want to be able to service those smaller churches. And so they may not need Sage Intacct, although QuickBooks raises their prices, that sometimes it's coming, evening out a little bit, but QuickBooks is easier to use. So it's who's going to be using the system. How many different dimensions do they need? Will the classes and projects in QuickBooks suffice? But if we've outgrown QuickBooks because we're doing a lot of calculations on the side or exporting QuickBooks reports and then manipulating them, then it's time to upgrade to Sage Intacct. So those are the only two systems we work at. Budgeting and forecasting, if we're involved with preparations of any budgets, the customer needs to purchase Martis Solutions. That's our budget and forecasting. It started out serving churches and nonprofits. It's such a great system. It's expanded into the for-profit industry. It integrates with QuickBooks Online and Sage Intacct, among other things like Xero and some systems that I don't use. And then payroll, APS. Obviously, we're not the decision makers of payroll. So this is our preferred one, but with payroll, that's up to HR. So we have customers that could be on paychecks, on ADP. The most important thing is we want to make sure that it integrates, or we can import or import the information into the general ledger. Donor systems. This also is owned by development. I don't say this is the donor system, but I have kind of my pile if they don't have one and they need one. Donor Perfect is great for it's inexpensive, it's easy to use, and it will integrate with QuickBooks Online. And now they just built an integration with Sage Intacct, which is awesome. So that's for the general nonprofit. If it's a church, the popular one out there is Church Planning Center. There's some third-party apps you need to do to integrate those. If it's a school and they're using fax as a tuition management, fax now has fax giving. And so it's better to not have, it's good to have different systems, but you don't want to have too many systems. So you want to try to keep it in as many systems or as many systems as possible, but that they work nicely together. And then the spend management, now I'm a partner of Bill and Ramp. If they don't have one, Ramp is our go-to. Bill does a lot of similar things with Divi. But I'm highlighting Ramp because that's the one that I typically use.
Great tech stack. Thank you. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Oh, we have a question.
All right, awesome.
Okay, so hi, Jenny. Given your experience at the forefront of technological change, how do you see AI transforming the core value of outsourced accounting? Is it simply improving efficiency or fundamentally redefining what clients expect from their accounting partners? Have you tried using any full-service AI accounting software? Great question.
Fantastic question. So actually, when I met Deneen at CPA.com and then at BotKeeper, we were a customer of BotKeeper and trying to do that. With nonprofits, it's very customizable. It's not like one nonprofit is the same. It's not even like one church is always going to, be the same. Charter schools, yes, same chart of accounts. It has to be because they have to follow Red Book. So it depends on what your industry is. I try to automate anything that I can. I invest a lot and I've learned things and I backed off. I've joined systems and then it ended up not working out. And so it's through trial and error. And we use AI for really the most. I use AI chat GPT. I mean, that's like it, I use it as an assistant, not doing things for me, but as a research assistant. So I use ChatGPT as that's the fastest, easiest gatherer of information. So I will also have ChatGPT reword my emails because I can tend to be like bullet point, bullet point, bullet point, and I'm trying to be more conversational with our customers and my team. And so I utilize the strengths of ChatGPT for that. The rest of the stuff, AI versus using automation and in our systems to connect. I don't know if I count that as, I mean, it's technology that's talking, but I think the AI thing of doing our job, I don't think it does our job. I think it helps us do our job because what I've learned is that the value we have with our customers is we're a person. And I mean, we all experience it when we make a phone call and our vendor person answers. It goes way further than when you're dealing with, a robot.
Chatbots. Yeah.
And
Yeah. And
so it's the same thing.
I think that a lot like at Infinite Ties, we talk to a lot of the new AI vendors coming into this space. Um, One of the things Christine Triantos and I went to the Bill.com accounts advisory board, and Renee Lessort said something that Christine and I resonate with us is like, are you looking at AI for automation and are you looking at AI tools for advisory? And I
Yep.
think, they're still coming at us, but there's still a lot in their infancy. And so, like, knowing your tech stack, using Chat GPT for emails and those things, I think is where I see most firms. But keeping an eye out on all the AI that's coming and start selecting that, I would go for automation and for advisory. But those are very two different tools, and they're not ChatGPT. But this is not an AI discussion, so I feel like we could go off on a tangent on that. Let's focus on the
Absolutely.
tech stack you are using now.
Yeah. So with the automation part of it, Zapier, Cinder, and Data Blend, those are three that we use to provide services to the customer. They may not see it; it might be in the background. Zap, I will use for Give Butter to get the donations into QuickBooks Online. Although now Give Butter just now brought in their own integration to QuickBooks. Yay. So now we're going to shift. So it's kind of fluid, but don't just jump ship because there's another technology out there. Make sure it's solving a problem or making things even better. If there's a direct integration, that's always better than having to use a third party. Cinder we use for Square. It's great. It will go grab the information from Square and post it into the accounting system, breaking out fees and grossing up donations and purchases, and it posts it every day. Prior to using Cinder, we would have to go in and export Square reports. We would do it monthly. So now this gives transparency because it's updated daily. And then we would have to map to all the different dimensions of how we break it out. So Cinder does all that. Data Blend we use as well, that we will pull from like PushPay. We have a customer that's on PushPay. We drop a PushPay, sorry, yes, we drop a PushPay report in a Data Blend. Data Blend, we have mapping and it will say this fund goes do, and it will post it for us in Intact. So these are the three of our go-to to help with automation. And so that's a little bit of leaning on AI, not having people. And that saves more time so you can have a smaller team and serve more clients. Our practice management, I use Carbon right now. I started with Count, which was great. I like the look of it, easy to use. It's more tax basis. I know they're getting into the CAS, so maybe reconsider, but Carbon works great for repetitive recurring task. That's what we use for our practice management, for my billing, for our timekeeping. Everything's in there. Any notes, and it pulls in from emails. That was the big seller of Carbon, is that it pulled in from my Outlook. And then Microsoft 365 we use, and then of course ChatGPT, which I've already talked about. So the key is, as you're coming up with your tech stack, is automation, integration, and transparency. You want to automate, you want them to integrate. If they don't integrate directly, then look at third-party APIs that will integrate them. And then the ultimate key is that the information is transparent. So now I'm going into the different systems. So QuickBooks Online or Sage Intacct, based on subscription dollars, the key is really number of dimensions needed. Sage Intacct has 8+ dimensions by class. You can really restrict or focus on restrictions. You can break things out by funder. You can break things out by project. And then, of course, your customer and vendor. QuickBooks, we utilize the class, and then we also utilize the project to track the restrictions. We do the class for statement of functional expenses to track that, and then we use the project. But if they're using QuickBooks Online to also track all their customers, because they're not using Donor Perfect or something, then we can't use the projects for that. We have to own the customers and use it for our purposes in QuickBooks Online. Consider the reporting package and end users. So if we need to slice and dice information in many different ways, if we need different sets of books, back then, if we would have multiple sets of books, that usually meant that you were performing some kind of crime. But in today's day and age, different sets of books is almost a necessity because, one, we have to report things differently. An example we do is we have our audit books. So there's some entries that the auditors make just for GAAP, but it doesn't make sense for the internal on what information they need to make their decisions. So we will post that just to the audit books. So then when it comes time for audit, we don't have to back out any numbers. We can show an audit trial balance, and that also could be for consolidated information. So if we need things like that, then we'll lean towards Sage Intacct. And then dashboard and KPI needs. If it's dashboard and that's our highest tier, really needs to be on Sage Intacct because of the KPI needs in the dashboards. A KPI can bring in statistical information automatically. So for churches, average value, average giving per family unit is one. For the schools, it might be expenses by students, churches, payroll as a percentage of tithes, information like that. So that will track it automatically, and that's less work that we're doing, and it's always updated.
And Jenny, can you just mention that you're in the Sage Intacct Accounts program, so your pricing is very different than if the church buys it themselves.
Thank you. I am a QuickBooks Online Pro Advisor, and I am a Sage Intacct accountant partner. I would absolutely invest in both of those. If you're using those, it sets you different. It sets you apart when you can say, "Oh, I'm a pro advisor for QuickBooks Online, and I'm a Sage Intacct partner." The Sage Intacct partner, the intent of that is that the AICPA worked out with Sage Intacct some years ago, but saying, hey, this is a really good program, and it's the firm is purchasing the program to provide accounting information for the customers. So that's the difference. So we get it at a discount. Obviously, we pass that through to our customers, but it's not as if they go off the street. But then we're their support. They can't do a case directly. So what that does is it tightens a relationship with them and makes you more valuable.
Hard to leave you. Yeah. And then it's hard to leave you because then they have to lose their GL. And if they bought it themselves, it's way more expensive. So that you are locking in it. Okay. Continue. I just wanted
much more expensive.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Yeah. Ramp. So again, as I've said, bill is another great option. And but this gives our clients spend control without slowing them down. The biggest pain point and the hardest thing to provide financials that were complete and accurate is knowing how to record credit card receipts. Chasing down receipts, what was this for? Unlike for-profit businesses, I require or really push that our customers, a receipt is turned in. We are not posting things from credit card statements. By the time the credit card statement comes, we're just reconciling. Because as a nonprofit, you have to show that all the expenses are related to providing your mission and that it's not personally benefiting anyone. And so, like, the receipt with just the tip and not what was purchased matters, especially in a church. Many churches don't allow alcohol purchases on the receipt. So we require the receipt with that, and chasing people down for that really holds up the financials. Before, I wouldn't do financials until everything was in because I didn't want to do imperfect financials. I've shifted from that. And I don't allow slowness in getting us what we need to slow down us presenting the financials, because then it comes back on our end saying, well, you haven't given us financials. So I create an account called, getting off topic here just a bit, but I think it's important. I create an account called uncategorized revenue, uncategorized expenses. And if we don't have support, it goes there and I move on with our financials. And then when I present it, I make sure that that's aligned. And so the board or whoever we're reporting to knows, like, hey, we don't know where to put this because we're still waiting on things. But with RAMP, it really sets it apart because RAMP itself will shut down people's cards if they are, and you control how many days. I wouldn't do more than 7 days. If they're behind in receipts by 7 days or more, then RAMP locks their card. And as soon as they put in those receipts to catch up, RAMP unlocks their card. So guess what? We're no longer the bad guys. It's just our system.
That's great.
Sorry. Now, of course, we can control that, but we don't, advertise that. But that has really made a change in getting receipts. And then one of our churches, they have over 100 easily credit card holders, right? And so it's nice because RAMP's easy to use, and I'll show you some screenshots, and people learn real quick and word gets around when they go somewhere and their cards decline because they haven't turned in receipts. Previous to that, they would have a staff that every month they would look in, or every other week look in and see who has late things, go into the bank credit card, turn it off, and then they'd have to get it and then go back in the credit card to turn it down. Well, this does it for you. Real-time coding by dimension, receipt capture automation, auto lock cards with late receipts, what I was just talking about. And RAMP is, I believe, the most cost effective, and it's the credit card and the bill process all under one login and one umbrella. Here's the receipt automation. A lot of programs out there have email and mobile app. What I like about RAMP is it has a SMS, so by text. You literally text RAMP and it knows from your mobile phone number or your email that, oh, you belong to this company. And so it will even read that crumbled up receipt, and it will match it for them. They're not saying it matches to this receipt. So I go on a business trip, I come back, I have all my receipts, I take pictures and I just send them as if I'm sending my family pictures of a vacation, and RAMP takes it from there and matches it up. It's also, as many other systems, strategic partner in finance. So they're using AI. So I use their AI that matches the receipt. And then there's controls and there's insights. So it will even look and say, hey, we noticed that, you've got 5 different people in your organization that are all subscribing. If you did a professional level, you would save money. RAMP's doing that homework for you. I mean, how valuable that is, especially for nonprofits that are really trying to be good stewards of their dollars. It will spot inefficiencies. You can create rules, and talking about AI, it just came out with an AI policy reviewer. And so you can type in your own policy. So for churches, we do not purchase alcohol. RAMP, their AI policy person or robot, will look at every receipt, and if there's alcohol on it, it'll either deny it or mark it for human review for you to deny it. So there's a lot of that AI that I'm not investing in trying to build and learn AI, because believe me, I'm in technology more than I ever thought I would be. But a lot of the systems and partners out there are using AI. Martis Solutions. Why I like Martis Solutions is they have the widgets that are really easy to use, special purpose worksheets where you can say, okay, there's a school and they're going on a field trip, and the field trip is going to cost us $10 per student. You can say, and it's for fourth grade, you can put in, okay, there's this many students in fourth grade. It'll calculate all that cost and then put it to the right dimensions. And so you're not doing all that math in Excel. I've used Excels with tabs, tab, broken out by month, broken out by department, and there's always a formula error. And usually it's not in the benefit for us. It's like, oh, wait, we're short this much because there's a formula error. Also, people are using and adding to it because it's not just one person doing the budget. And then you're working out of systems that are out of date, or worksheets that are out of date. So I really like their special purpose worksheets. It's set up with the Excel kind of mannerisms, which is nice. They have good dashboard reports, multi-year budgeting, great for nonprofits that have grants. That grants don't always come in right during your fiscal year. They cross over fiscal years. And so this, you can still have a grant budget that crosses over the years, and cost-effective access. So here's just some more details on Martis. You're ditching the spreadsheets. It collaborates. User licenses in Martis is much less than Intact. And QuickBooks, you don't want anyone in QuickBooks because there's not like a read only, and that's really meant for the people in finance. Where Intact has dashboards that it is meant for employees just for read only and get information. But an artist user costs much less, and they give discounts for churches, and then they give another discount if it's a nonprofit. So churches get a higher discount, nonprofit gets a little less discount, and then the for-profit companies don't get discounts.
Is
So
Martis,
awesome.
is
Yeah,
Martis pretty easy to use, like easy to learn?
I think so. I think once you start there, they have classes that you can jump on, webinars a lot, and their help is amazing because you can say they use AI. How do I do this? And it will search their things and pull out step by step. They have a lot of videos that walk you through things, a lot of steps. And once you know it, the base of it, easy to use. All the tools and everything. And for partners, they just came out with a certification program. So you can go through and learn everything, take a test, and now you're a known
Okay.
partner on it.
Because
I've gone through the
Intact,
training and just haven't taken the
yeah,
test.
Intact is very hard to learn. I think Martis is a bit
Yes.
easier. And I
Yes.
know several of our members are using Martis for the not-for-profit vertical. I just don't know a lot about them. So thanks for that.
Yeah. So also what's great about Martis is that if you have ministry leaders or project leaders and they're going in and looking at what they're responsible for, you can filter very easily that this person can only see this campus and these ministries
Yeah.
in a mix and match. So and there's a lot of tools. You can make it so no one can drill into payroll, or no one can even see payroll. There's all sorts of things to do security wise. But when they drill into that and they're like, I'm not over budget, they can drill in and it takes them to the general ledger detail, not in Intact, within Martis.
Hmm.
So now they have it brings its collaboration, transparency, they answer their own questions. And so that leaves us with time available to really do that more high level advisory work. And they've got skin in the game. It's not where they wait for a report later or have to ask questions. They're seeing it and they have responsibility. When you're part of that budgeting program or system, then you have more of an interest in it. And so, so I really like Martis, and I use it for the cash forecasting, the accrual forecasting, and with schools, it's great because you can do the special purpose worksheet by class, kindergarten, first grade, second grade on, and what that tuition is by class level. And then you can put how many students. So when we're planning and we're coming into a year and they're trying to figure out how much staff do they need to hire, how many kids do they have? Do we have one classroom of first graders or do we have two?
Mhm.
Martis can, if I just update the numbers, boom, 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 it calculates that all, pushes it to the thing. I'm not redoing all the math and the formulas. And it's great.
That's nice.
So you can become an advisor and sit in the meeting with your Martis open and and have results, not be like, I'll get back to you in 6 hours.
That's great.
APS for payroll. Why I like APS, again, other companies perform these same things. I like APS because it works well for small nonprofits that have one employee up to many employees. It also integrates with QuickBooks Online and Sage Intacct, and it breaks everything out by dimension, which is key for payroll. So not just the gross salaries, but also the payroll taxes, benefits, all of that stuff. And so here's some of their highlights. Some of these slides I got from the vendors. So here's some highlights for you to go back to. It does volunteer tracking. It's easier to use. We use this ourselves. It was important for me to practice what we preach. Probably a third reason why I started my own, to have more control over systems we use, because I want our team to know how to use this stuff. So when our clients and customers have questions, we have hands-on experience. We're using the same thing. Carbon is the practice management system. This really brought together our workflows. And what I liked about Carbon is I can add things on the go. That was the most important thing for me, and the connection to Outlook. So Carbon has a triage where it is my inbox, and from there I can assign emails to staff. And that was key because my whole day can be just managing my inbox, which is not a good use of time. And so I really liked Carbon for those reasons. And they're continuing to build out everything that they do. So it's the client management, team collaboration, the email management, it has reporting, it's my billing, it's the time. It helps automate tasks. It will summarize long email threads. And so it has like a timeline for each of the clients that I have set up, and it connects, it knows those clients' emails. So it's looking in Outlook and it's pulling all the emails from that client. And then at the top, I can hit summarize and it will give me a summary. This is great for me as I'm trying to get out of the day-to-day work of the accounting work, so I can be available to my team because I'm their biggest bottleneck. I'm the one that's halting her growth. So I got to get out of where I have a lot of work to do. So I'm available for them and I'm available for growth. And so that was really important for me, and Carbon allows for that. To summarize, I can see what they've been doing because now I'm not involved as much. But when I meet with our customers, I need to see what's been going on. They also do billing. So you can bill on time and material. So I push through our technology fees that way, our fixed fee. And then I track our own business, our admin time. And so it's non-billable, or part of our service is if I'm a treasurer on a board, we provide the accounting voluntary. So that's not billable. So you can track all that. They do have a payment. I don't use it because they do deduct a fee out of checks and ACHs, and it's harder to integrate. Carbon integrates with QuickBooks Online. It does not integrate with Sage Intacct, but the rest of the features were important enough for me. But right now I just hired an IT person and they're building a Zap. We're using Zapier to connect. When I put a new customer in Carbon, it's going to populate that customer in Intacct. When we do an invoice in Carbon, it's going to populate that invoice Intacct. And then I'm hoping I can do it all the way to the payment. Carbon, now I do my engagement letters and send it, and they have e-signatures. So it's all part of the task. So I have an onboarding workflow that they can go through and then sign it, and everything's in one place. So that's some of the technology stack. And then building a scalable service model. Again, this is kind of a repeat theme. Understand their mission, give them a personalized discovery. One of the best classes I did is the Barry Ryan
Mm-hmm.
Sales class, I think, is through the Sage Intact,
Yeah.
where what is selling through curiosity?
Yeah.
I think
Selling
that's
through
what it is.
curiosity. Yep.
That is amazing. That was a game changer
It was
because
great.
I always wanted to have the answers. I wanted to come to the meeting already with the answers. Here's the problem. I didn't know their questions. So I spent all this time researching things. And then
Just in
usually I
case
go
they
in
asked.
and it's like, what's that?
Just in case they asked, you would know the
Right.
answer.
In case I ask. And like 90% of the time it never came up. I just wasted
Waste
time.
of time.
And what their questions were stuff where we think aren't valuable. What I've learned is some of the stuff that seems common sense to us, there's value in that.
Mm-hmm.
And they just want a conversation and talk through those things. So if we do that personalized discovery and go in and ask questions, don't give answers. And that's hard for me because if I know something, I'm like, oh, we can do this. I get excited and start giving them everything. But just discovery. Ask, take notes, and then you in turn use what you've learned to provide the proposal, right? Also, what we're trying to do is saying, hey, we'll come in and do an assessment. That's where you get paid to do a proposal because they can choose to go with you or not, but they paid and they have a deliverable. And so really focus a lot on discovery and make it personable. Establish, and that will establish trust and build the relationships. So I think it was Jill maybe who asked the question on how do you get that with churches? It's all based on establishing the trust and building relationship. Then they trust your advice. Learn their financials. Why do they set things up the way they do? Don't just take how they've been setting it up and do it into your new system. They probably had a 10-page chart of accounts because their system didn't allow for dimensions. So learn their financials, start with the end, and then customize it for effective financial information. And then offer tailored package solutions, and we'll get to that. Common setbacks and solutions. So over customizing. So I said there's a lot of customization and personality. That's to a certain extent. We have boundaries with that. We stick to our standard stack. If someone uses Xero, I have not invested any time in Xero, then we're not the fit unless they're willing to do QuickBooks Online or Sage Intacct. So you want to customize when it works, but you don't want to over customize and you don't want to go outside your standard stack. When people focus on the worth per hour and customers are coming in with that mindset, a lot of times it's at ease. It's better for nonprofits to have a fixed price. It's better for budgeting. They get nervous on a surprise for a bill. And when we focus on the worth per hour, here's the thing. I'm investing in systems, so my hours go down on a job. If I charge per hour, I'm going to make less money as I'm investing in other things. No. So you almost price as if you're doing everything manually because these systems cost money that we're investing in. And that fixed value pricing is you just have, we do this for this price. In promising everything at once, what I've learned, it would be overwhelming and I would be scared to bring on new clients. But when I go in and say, well, let's start with a ramp, let's get you on ramp because ramp, you can change accounting systems and not have to re-implement ramp. So let's get you on that and see the benefits of that. Okay, now let's get you on to, you've outgrown QuickBooks, let's get you to Sage Intacct. And then as you're doing these phases, you can price for these phases. If we do everything all in one, you're losing money.
That's the question that we have. So it's perfect like segue to this question. How do you handle the need to migrate from another system to one of the two you work with? How do you build that out? Do you do it or do you contract with someone else to do it?
So I do it because QuickBooks Online is pretty simple to bring over. I might bring in some technical people, data people. So I have relationships where if I need the numbers cleaned and then brought in and they have tools that do that, then I'll outsource that. But typically we bring it in and I let the customer decide. I'm like, listen, if you want all the historicals in here, then it's going to cost you this. If you just want the last year by month in here, it'll cost you this. So then they have control on that pricing. And I do it as that phase approach. and that it's easier for them too, because they're not taking this huge project with this huge price tag,
Right.
but it's in smaller chunks.
Thanks.
So here's where we talk about our tiered offerings. So we have the showeth, groweth, and knoweth. So the knoweth is kind of like know your numbers. I just need the base. I need to know my numbers. Okay, that's what we'll do. The groweth is, okay, we're growing. We want to do some budgeting and budget to actuals and all that. Showeth is like dashboards, transparent information, cash flow and accrual forecasting. And it's not the same package. So on our website, it's very high level because we go through that personal discovery. So one customer's knoweth could be another customer's showeth, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
I customize what are in those. What I do is if I would just give them one price, it would be the groweth. But I give them an option to downgrade or I give them an option up. And I don't hold them to that for a year. If they grow, we adjust. If we find out we don't need to do something, we can adjust. But that's how you keep from scope creep because they decided, I'm not going to take that. I'm choosing. And then they're like, hey, you know what? I want that. Can we upgrade? So it's a great, it gives them choices. It gives them control, which is really helpful for nonprofits. The flexible options, I throw in that groweth and knoweth is present. Showeth might show some future focus. Transition strategy, the phase approach we talked about, and the value-based pricing.
Watching the time, 3 minutes.
Oh, I know, I just saw that.
Okay.
Case study, you guys will they have access to the slides?
Yes, yeah, we'll
Okay,
send it over.
perfect.
Mhm.
So before manual spreadsheets, late reports, segregated systems, after integrated systems, automated dashboards, confidence in the numbers, and save staff time, improved board trust, donor trust. And then your team, I could not do this without my team. So invest in your team. If you're a one person shop and that's working, that's great, but you want to grow and have other people learn your product and your processes and carry it out so you can manage versus, so we have our accounting team that's doing the day-to-day, the month-end close, special projects team that's coming in and ready to implement new clients and doing cleanup while the accounting team can move forward. I think that's a game changer. And it
Mhm.
keeps the accounting team moving forward with the information we have. Train the staff on the nonprofit nuances and client communication and automate repetitive tasks to focus on advisory. Now, sometimes it doesn't make sense to automate. So know when it doesn't make sense to automate. If it's taking you more time fixing the automation than doing it manually, do it manually. All right, key takeaways. Lead with mission, focus on impact, not just compliance. That's a shift coming from the audit world. Advisory is the differentiator. Start with the financials, standardize what you can, and customize where it counts. Your next steps, design your stack for clarity and client impact, specialize, know what you're specializing in, not just nonprofits, what type of nonprofits, really become
Yeah.
known as a professional in that field, and then build the systems. Thank you.
Wonderful, Jenny. Thank you. I know, like, go back. That was too fast. Go back.
Oh,
One of the things
sorry.
I love about Jenny is you are a love of of learning. You go to all the conferences, you sit in on the sessions, but you also love to share. So I just appreciate you putting
Yeah.
this together because I know you put a lot of time together. But you love to talk with other people. So make sure if you are focusing on not-for-profits and you want to collaborate with Jenny, you write down her email address, you reach out. You'll be going to the digital conference in December. Anyone that's going to be there and focus on not-for-profits, you can schedule time together. That's what we're really trying to do here at Infinite Ties is build this community where you're not just learning from us, you're learning from each other. So I just can't thank you enough, Jenny. Thanks for sharing.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thanks, everybody.